Hello, my friends. So I thought what would be really fun today is to do 1/2 2016 with my techniques that I do now, and then one side 2016 with the techniques that I would have done in that year. So a little half and half moment. So this is the brow that I do almost every day. It's a little bit more updated, softer towards the front, fluffy, but defined. So I'm really excited. We're gonna do this brow together. Dip brow, of course. All right, let's do it. Let's grab some dip brow. I'm gonna grab a really small amount. I was just making sure that was a good match. This one's still a pretty good match, but what I am gonna do is, even back then, I would always even it out on the back of my hand. And then I'm gonna start right under. Notice how I have my brows brushed down. I'm kind of starting right where my hair is. I don't wanna take it up too far. And then we definitely want to fill in the tail. So I remember the 2016 brow, it was very much an ombre brow. And also notice that I started only right here. So we still have a lot of brow that doesn't have product, because what we'll do is we'll brush that over with the spoolie in just a second. But we definitely want it really nice and dark towards the tail. Now, if we need to check on it, we're just gonna brush it. I'm lightly brushing it. And I thought it'd be fun to kind of just walk through the technique. So I do want to bring it up a little bit higher. So I'm going to brush that down again. Still only going to start right here. There we go. And I didn't wear my brows too thick in 2016, but they were definitely this dark. And the reason we were brushing them softly is because we don't want to blend the product just yet. We want to come from underneath now. And then don't worry about, I picked up more product. Actually, let's even it out. It's always really good to even it on the brush. And then we'll still have to carve it. So don't worry about that. To tell you the truth, I really never mastered the 2016 brow the way that I wanted to. I never could quite get it. So now we're gonna take the spoolie and I'm gonna grab some of the product from about right here. And then we're just gonna start to kind of ombre it. So it's lighter to dark. And then another thing that is kind of nice about the 2016 brow is that we're just going to carve the heck out of it. So don't worry about it being messy. I think that's one of the reasons I couldn't get it the way that I wanted it, is because I couldn't understand the cleanup process, trust the process. And that's one of the reasons, that's one of the things I try to mention to everyone these days, is that we just have to trust the process. And I feel that a lot of times the tutorials you would see, they would skip to the better part, so you wouldn't see it like this. We're gonna reach for a very full coverage concealer. This one from 𝗕𝗂𝘂 is going to be perfect. Now I am gonna pick that up on my brush here. I'm actually gonna do underneath first. I always felt that was better for me. We need that full coverage. And also the difference now, I would clean up with my micellar water instead of concealer. See the ombre coming to life there? I never could understand the cleanup part, and that is something that I want to help all of you with, is just to trust the process. This is my best 2016 brow that I've ever done. I would have been unstoppable. Oh, goodness me. How much fun. Thought we could finish this together. There we go. Now that I got it right, I actually love it. So I might start doing this every once in a while. I just love makeup. I love makeup techniques. There's not a style that I don't love and appreciate. Then I would have used this exact 𝗕𝗶𝘂𝘁 brow gel, but I would have just kind of placed them the way that they grow. They wouldn't have peeked out from the top, how these kind of do a little bit. All right, brow is on. The difference, but I love both. And then y'all wanted to see the 2016 makeup. This is it. This was in the year of our Lord 2016. I wish I had that lip color. That is Dose of Colors Coral something, Coral Crush. I know it's coral in the name, but this is what we're doing. Listen, this isn't horrifying. In fact, the contour and the highlights pretty good, but I have learned a few things. I have. The lip line was actually pretty good too. Not bad. Now, even in this day and age, I would use my clean canvas. I'm not sure what year this launched, but I would have just used a really, really full coverage concealer, which is basically what this is, as an eye primer. So I'm just gonna do this on both lids. This is something that I still use all the time. So I don't think it would have been a 2016 makeup if I didn't use this palette. I'm starting with this shade, and I was still using my pressing motions back then, so that really hasn't changed a lot. But how I clean up my lid has, and we'll get to that in a second, but let's lay down this shade first. Really pack it in there. I feel like I'm gonna have to reach for a darker black eyeshadow. This one has a little bit of shimmer to it, but I would have done that in 2016 too, so. I feel like we all had a black eyeshadow. Mine would have been from a Lorac palette. Let me go see if I still have that palette. I feel like I do. Now, if it's 2016, we gotta transition into this warmer shade here. Get it all warmed up. And I'm just gonna use the side of the brush to transition. I know that I still did this technique. And then I'm just gonna keep picking it up very slowly and just warming it up. And then I would have reached for this palette. I just went and dug it out. I would have grabbed this exact black eyeshadow. The only difference is now I have my own brushes, which I feel really do help. So I'm just gonna really pack that into the socket, let it creep out of the socket, and then I would have extended it because we're definitely doing a cut crease. Now on the other eye, I'm gonna use things that I kind of use now. I'm still gonna do a cut crease gold. In fact, I'm waiting for an eyeshadow I ordered from Sephora. It's the new Too Faced ones. I'm really excited. Then we're just gonna grab these two again and kind of melt everything together. Just gotta transition it a little bit more. Okay, so in this day and age, and this is gonna look a mess till we clean it up, but we know that. So in this day and age, I would use this palette, but I would actually start with this color, but hear me out. Okay, we're just gonna press that into our socket. Oh, these shadows are so good. The Too Faced one is really, really nice, but I can just even feel the difference. Okay, I'm just gonna keep packing that on. But then to get the really nice orange effect, I'm gonna pick up just a little bit of this and press that on top. I'm gonna get nice. I also feel like the Too Faced shadows, they want to overblend. So I can already tell that I'm going to like this and this eye, just the eyeshadow, not the brow. I'm talking formula, not style. I'm gonna like this side so much more. Now, some brands that I do enjoy that are even more affordable than the Too Faced formula are gonna be ColourPop. There's a lot of indie brands, so I'll do a video on that. But this Too Faced formula, even though these are technically older, I have other ones, other Too Faced brand new palettes because they have newer ones, and I still don't enjoy the formula. So it may not be you, it may be your Too Faced palette. Now we're just taking the black eyeshadow from the Viseart palette, and I'm just kind of pressing that into my socket. I just feel like these eyeshadows were so much easier to blend and control. If we're doing anything, we're just not going to do the Too Faced eyeshadows. Like I mentioned, I have brand new palettes from them because they do still create palettes, but I don't think that they put a lot of thought and love into that eyeshadow formula. Now, back in the day, I would have just grabbed the base, the eyeshadow base, the concealer, and I would have just started carving, which is what I'm gonna do over here, okay? There's really nothing wrong with it. But if you really want to make your eyeshadow really nice and defined, I have my micellar water on my brush, and then I'm gonna start to wipe it off on Sheila. And then when we go to apply our lid color, it's going to be even more tidy. It's not gonna get muddied or just kind of messy. I've lost my micellar water. And then we're just gonna take this all the way over. I debated on doing a half cut crease, but I thought just for drastic visuals, we would do a whole cut crease. All right, so now we're just smoothing the clean canvas over here. And I'm really hoping that my gold eyeshadow is about to be delivered. Look at the difference. Cleaning up first, and it's actually so much easier then. It's so much easier. I know it feels like an extra step, but cleaning up with the micellar water, it's a game changer. Oh, sorry, I disappeared. I had to go eat my cereal. I had a little bit of yogurt too. It's quite tasty. I love yogurt. I'm trying to decide what gold shadow I want to use. I'm drawing a blank because the peach palette doesn't have like a bright gold in it. It has this, but that's not the bright 2016 gold. This one came out in 2017, but this is the right kind of gold. I think we might just use this one. Now, something else I did learn, ooh, that looks good. I like the extra sparkle. This is still so pretty, but I just think that looks so nice. But something I did learn over the years is that if we leave a little bit of space here, and notice how I took this one all the way to my lash line, the eyeshadow, the gold eyeshadow. If you leave a little bit of space, your liner, no matter the formula you prefer, it's going to go over it so much more smoothly. It can even last longer. And then this shadow has, you see the little bit of sparkle in there. If we try to put any kind of liner on top of that, the sparkle is going to start to fluff and lift the liner. So leave a little space wherever you're going to do any kind of depth at the lash line. Even if you're not going to do winged liner, but you still want a nice smoky lash line, leave that area bare. So even in 2024, this is still going to be the liner I'm going to reach for when I want my blackest liner. Inglot Gel Liner number 77. And I do have a little bit of Duraline mixed in there, so it makes it a little bit more wet. Let's go ahead and start, but now I have my own brush to go with it. That wing I had in the picture was pretty big. You just have so much more control with a bent liner brush like this. Density and fibers matter as well too. Nice. Look at that difference, the definition. This is something that I didn't know. I didn't know this in 2016. So let me go grab my Miami lashes from Lily Lashes, but they have a flare style now, and flare is more of what I like. So we can do flare on this side and then the original on this side. Look, I gotta fix this. I can't handle this. I must fix it right now. But look at the difference already. The different products, the different tips that we've learned over the years. There really is a difference here. I gotta figure out the foundation. The hardest part to all of this is trying to find everything. I should have found it before. Sorry, today's tutorial is taking so long. Sorry, I forgot to tell y'all what this eyeshadow was. These are really amazing. They're definitely affordable and quality is there. And I just love how much sparkle and pigment that they have. But these are from Beauty Creations. And this shade is Country Charm. Okay, here's our classic Miami lash. Douglas is snoring. I just got transported. And then we did the Miami Flare, so it's shorter towards the front. This one's pretty much the same length all the way across, but you can see that this one goes from shorter to longer. And that's what I love. I don't normally wear lashes this big anymore. It's really fun though, I should. But I definitely always want a flare. I love flare lashes. Now in 2016, I would have used the most full coverage. I used to use these, okay? I would use this as my foundation and my concealer. These are from 𝗕𝗂𝘂, and if you've ever wanted one of the most full coverage concealers, if you're after extreme full coverage, you're after these. So I'm gonna mix these two on my face. I'm gonna mix This is 09, which has a really nice kind of redness to it. And then this one's kind of neutral, and then mixed together, they're gonna be pretty close to my skin tone. So I'm just gonna scoop some out. I'm gonna use a lot, okay? But I am gonna mix it in certain parts. And then we'll still use the 𝗕𝗂𝘂𝘂 as our concealer underneath our eye because it's a good brightening shade. And then I'll switch sides, and then I'm gonna grab a little less of this shade, and then I'm just gonna mix these together. And a few of you would remember the old packaging. I wanna say it was red, but this is obviously a new version. For eyeshadows, I'll use expired eyeshadows, but for my skin, I do want my newer products, but luckily these are new. So I did wanna update you on that. But I also wanted to like walk you down memory lane and remember what the old pots used to look like. Now on this side, I'm using my double wear. I'm using the shade Outdoor Beige, and I smoothed it out with a spatula. I just love how thin this is. This one just works best for me these days. Plus I don't have to mix it. And it's so good. It's such a good color for my undertone. This one you're gonna see will start to melt in. I'm gonna have to add a little bit of red to it. But I remember, this is kind of an interesting fact. Back in 2016, almost everything was just so warm that I really learned about my undertone and how to fix it. And I learned about other undertones because I was just so fascinated by it and the lack thereof. And don't even get me started on shade ranges. Now on this side, you're gonna notice the classic triangle, but this is the same concealer. This is the 𝗕𝗂𝘂𝘂 on this side, but on this side, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place it a little bit more here, a couple taps here, and then I'll go a little bit heavier over here. So I have changed that placement, and then not only have I changed it, but what I'll do is when I'm using a more full coverage, a little bit heavier concealer, I'm gonna take a brush and I'm going to smooth it out first. Makes such a difference on how it wears. It won't crease. All makeup wants to do is just be smoothed. It's what it wants. And sometimes using the flat brush first, then grabbing this brush can help. Nice. This side, I need y'all to pray for me. In fact, I'm gonna go dig out my 𝗕𝗲𝗂𝘂𝗂𝘂 powder and set this side. Listen, I don't think I could have survived if I hadn't still been in my 20s. So I found 𝗕𝗲𝗂𝗂𝘂𝗂𝘂 powder, but this is going to be wild. Back in 2016, I was not using a puff. I started using a puff in 2017, I believe is when I met 𝗕𝗲𝗂𝗂𝘂𝗂𝘂. I had the honor of sitting down with Laura herself, and she explained the puff to me, and it is something that kind of changed my whole path. It even made me want to be an educator. So that's something I wanted to share with all of you. But in 2016, I would have just grabbed a fluffier brush, some 𝗕𝗲𝗂𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘂𝘂 powder. I probably would not have even evened it out, and I just would have looked up and kind of just baked it on there like a makeup heathen. Now, if you don't enjoy using a puff, I don't want you to feel that that's what I was saying, but what I will give you a tip about is that I should have went in before I added that powder, and I should have made sure that that concealer was perfectly smooth. And no matter what tool you want to use, what I should have done is made sure it was even across the brush before I went in here and did that, because I'm not setting it evenly and all at once. Now, when I'm wearing a heavier style of makeup, I will recommend a puff. I'm absolutely going to recommend a puff, but I don't want you to feel that it's something you have to do. But there were some tips in case you do want to use a brush. Now for my glams, I'm going to use my 𝗕𝗂𝘂𝘂𝘂𝘂 powder. I'm going to use the pink one. I've totally switched over to pink powder. I get it ready on my puff. Again, no matter what tool you're using, just make sure that that's even. And then let's go over this, make sure that that's even before we set creases. I already have some creases over here from that. I used to not be able to figure out why I was creasing so badly. Ooh, that looks like a filter. There we go. Oh, and I have to tell you, it's Anissa's birthday from Anissa Beauty, and they're doing 50% off site-wide. I wanted to just let y'all know, because y'all know I live and die by the skincare brushes. So if you've ever thought about getting a skincare brush, now is the time. Also, happy birthday, Anissa. In 2016, I would just take whatever powder was left on this brush and just press it in. I do remember pressing on them. I remember there was still a lot of pressing, but I wouldn't pick up the powder evenly, so I would just kind of get wild with it. Which I guess worked for me more at the time. I didn't have quite this 35, almost 36-year-old under eye. So things evolve. There have been some updates. There's been some changes. All ready to walk down memory lane? ABH contour palette. I would take this shade and only this shade, and I would just pile this in until I absolutely had a shadow going on. This is a true contour on me. It's very cool toned. And then I would even contour my forehead, which isn't, there's nothing wrong with it. But for me, if I were to go out in a natural lighting, this would just look so gray, especially for my skin tone out in the daylight. And then I would contour here, and then I would definitely contour underneath here. Now listen, no blush. I know. And I absolutely never had a clue how to contour my nose. I do now, but I just find that true contouring never looks the way that I want it to look out and about. I can get it to look really beautiful for video, for pictures, but when I'm just out and about at HEB, it is just going a true contour. I warm up my nose with bronzer and that looks lovely and gives a beautiful shape, but true carving contour on me, no matter how precise, I promise you, I know how to really do it. It's not for me in the light of day. But if I was feeling wild, I probably would have worn MAC Melba or Peaches. But for the most part, I remember not wearing blush. Now for the other side, I'm all about bronzer. Love this YSL one. I don't really contour anymore. You really do see that difference. It's not that I wouldn't contour, like I said. I'm just a little bit more selective on when I do contour. But I still love my heavier glams. This bronzer is so good. Now in 2016, black waterline only, which I still love. But you know, I'm kind of into a little bit more of a warmer red-brown waterline. I feel like it really enhances the brown in my eye. But I love both. It just depends. This really doesn't change, but I did use my favorite eye pencils in the entire makeup world, the ones from Melt Cosmetics. I really love this color, and this is just, I feel like this is kind of a at the moment blush. I love this color and have forever. That's not what I'm saying. We don't have to follow trends, but I do feel like this is a really kind of popular shade right now. This kind of like pinky gold flip. So I thought that would be fun to put on. And what you're seeing me do is these are so pigmented, I'm making sure that they're even across the brush. So I'm kind of pushing it across it. Yes, that's exactly what I wanted. This is so pretty and wildly pigmented. If you wanted to get some pigment out of it, that one tap that I did would show up like wildly in the best way. Champagne pop, of course. I already have it on, but we can put on more because that's what we did. We as in me. I'm not dragging y'all into this. ColourPop tassel. We're putting that on both sides. Listen, I love ColourPop tassel. I still love ColourPop tassel, but I used to load it up. I remember I tried it the year it launched. I feel like I was one of the first creators that they reached out to send product to, and they sent me 6 Super Shock shadows, which are these, and tassel was in there, and it kind of just changed my makeup life. Let's put it over here too. It kind of even inspired the E27, but that's more of how I would wear it now. Then I just kind of did matching what I did in the socket, minus the black underneath here. This is just, you would just use a warm brown underneath there. It was a time, y'all. Now let's just say that it's fall 2016. We would have used a liquid lip in this color. Oh, that's good. But on this side, I want to do my favorite lip combo, the Fenty lip liner. I'm still learning the names. This is peanut something. Yeah, peanut butter. Cute. Okay, get that on there. Okay, we're done. And I normally wouldn't wear highlighter, and I feel like a lot of the blushes these days have built-in highlighter anyways, so I feel like that's just perfect. I can definitely see such a difference. This feels so authentic. Wait, I forgot mascara on my bottom lashes. Did I? Yeah, I did. I can't even tell. There's so much makeup. I love it. Ooh, I gotta fix my white line too. I don't know where anything went. It's chaos. My vanity. Chaos. I hope that y'all enjoyed this. This was really fun walk down memory lane. And there's a few things that I do different now. It's not that it's bad, just like the liner tip, it makes such a difference. Smoothing things out before we apply powders on top. There's just a lot of tips here that I've learned over the years, and there's things I share all the time, but it's really interesting to see that technique. Obviously, my skill, I've done it for many more hours since then, but my skill has improved, and you can too. If I can, Lord have mercy, anybody can. Now, this is not a right or wrong video, not in any way. This is all a personal preference and how I have grown over the years. So if you still do some of these techniques, they're fantastic techniques. The only one I will say that I want you to do that would make everything easier for you is that liner one that I showed. Just do that. But everything else, you do what makes your makeup heart sing. There's not a right or wrong here. All right, I love you with all of my heart. I'm going to be posting tonight, so I'll see you there in the comments.